listening to the Agent Survival Guide podcast, a podcast for today's insurance agents. Informing, educating, empowering, improving the way you do business in an industry that's anything but static. In today's episode, unlock the secret of cross-selling insurance without coming across as salesy, without the fear, and without that awkward feeling that takes you back to middle school gym class. Because here's the thing. Most of us know there's value in cross-selling ancillary products, whether we're selling Medicare or ACA coverage. But if we get in our heads and start letting fear or anxiety or just wanting to get the deal done get in the way, well, then it's probably not going to go well. Today, we are talking about how to overcome all of that stuff that gets in our head with some practical and easy to implement advice. I recently sat down with Dawn Myers from the DVBS division here at Ritter and Demetri Simos from Guarantee Trust Life to talk about cross-selling, why it's so important for clients, and how to approach it with confidence rather than fear. Here's our conversation.
Dawn Myers. I am the VP of Sales and Marketing for the DVBS, the Delaware Valley Brokerage Region, which is in and outside of the Philadelphia market, South Jersey, and really expanding more towards Harrisburg now. So I've been tasked with growing that central PA market as well as Philly and South Jersey.
I'm Demetri Simos, VP of Sales here at Guarantee Trust Life, or otherwise known as GTL. I've been with Guarantee Trust now this is 22 years. And I've been working with Ritter for all of the existence of Ritter. So what's that now, 24 years? So I've been with you guys for a long time. So, really enjoyed the relationship and the friends I've made over the years there.
Yes, I think for as long as I've been here, you have been a staple at our summits. So definitely really appreciate the partnership with you as well. And today we're talking about your specific wheelhouse, cross-selling the ancillary product. But before we get into the conversation today, can you just give me a quick snapshot of, Demetri, how did you get into this industry? You said you've been at GTL for quite a while now. Was that your entrance into the industry?
Actually, I started in 1995 on the life insurance side. I got started selling whole life insurance as I think I was like 28 years old or so, something like that. And found myself talking to everybody about whole life and ACA and mutual funds and such. But I found myself really kind of gravitating more towards the business development side of things. And that's where I was finding myself to be, I guess, happier. Along my journey, I found that, insurance companies have a role, that actually helps FMOs, agents, and so forth to create a better environment for themselves, through partnerships and, working with them and so forth. So kind of thought that was interesting. So I took a year, in order to get into the position I was thinking about, I took a year to sell term life insurance over the phone.
Okay.
So selling term insurance over the phone, and I was kind of getting that whole conversation going. And the next thing you know, the opportunity came up that I could become a wholesaler, for lack of a better word. I was there for 4 years, learned quite a bit, and the opportunity came up with GTL in 2004, and I haven't looked back since. So.
All right. And Dawn, how about you? How did you get started into this industry of ours?
Oh, man. When I started, I'll laugh a little because when I started in the insurance industry, we were issuing like paper cards out of our desk drawers. And I almost think probably taking cash or checks. And it's been that long. I may have actually taken my insurance test on with a paper and pencil, I think. I've been through a lot of changes with insurance, from writing short-term medical to my first job was specific for self-employed folks. And part of their marketing strategy was literally hanging up signs on telephone poles and street poles with signs that say, get HMO coverage. And that was like the big coverage back then. I've been doing this since a long time, forever, I think. And I love it. I really do. And the changes, a lot of people are freaked out and scared about the changes that we're seeing. And my message to all of them is when a door closes, a window opens, and it's not to jump out of.
That's good. Yeah. No jumping out of windows. What I do love is the fact that both of you have so much experience in this industry that you have likely seen years where we've had the ups and downs, so that you can kind of speak to what's going on right now, that there's a lot of challenges that we've been having, both on the Medicare side and the under 65 side. How do we take where we have been and the way that we have been used to selling and navigate through these challenges and come up with takeaways for how we move forward?
Well, I would probably start off by saying that, it's kind of a cycle if you think about it from that perspective. What's old is new, what's new is old. I always think that because cross-selling is not a foreign concept to our industry whatsoever. It is something that's been part of our industry for a very, very long time. Probably the best cross-sellers that I know of are the people that we all talk to is property and casualty guys. Those folks are great cross-sellers because think about it, whenever you talk to them about getting a car insurance, what is it the next question they ask you? Do you have a home? Do you have a boat? Do you have jewelry? So forth, because they're laying the foundation to what they can protect you for and so forth. If you think about traditional Medicare in the old days, in the 80s, what was a Medicare supplement back in the 80s? It was a combination of hospital indemnity, cancer, various products that made up, in essence, a Medicare supplement. And not until 1992, until they standardized it, where it became a true med sup, that's when we kind of went away from the cross-selling to some degree. I kind of look at it, there's always cross-selling needed, no matter what adjustments were made. In the 90s, yes, we had a Medicare supplement, but you also had opportunities for short-term care, cancer insurance, life insurance. And then in 05 or 04, 05, back at that time frame, PDPs came out, MAs came out. There was more opportunities. There's a person that I first met when I came to GTL. He was in the business for a long time. And one of the things that really resonated with me and that stuck in my head was he always told me whenever there was a change, he was always excited about a change that was going on in the industry. Kind of to what Dawn was saying,
Yeah.
The reason being the change was positive for him because disruption meant there was profitability for him, ability for him to make additional dollars. So that's where he got really excited about it. So that's kind of the way I look at our business, is that cross-selling has always been a thing for us. It's just, I think we just have to get out of our own way a little bit and be able to say, you know what? I am doing this to the betterment of the client. I'm doing this to the betterment of my practice. I'm not doing something to be pushy. I'm going to do something along the lines of, I'm going to constantly present ideas, so at least I'm providing a value.
Thank you so much for going back and kind of giving the context of the history back a couple years, because I think it's really important to be able to understand that we can, take a deep breath and know that the industry is not imploding, that we still have the capability to have jobs, to be able to make commissions, make a living, and still help people to be able to get the coverage they need. It's just that over time, the products and how they're structured, they change. And that is something that we've seen so many times in this industry. When it comes to actually cross-selling with the different products, now that we have it that MedSup is its own thing, and we have these different products that we're actually selling to cover different areas of, health. Why is cross-selling some of these different products? Why is it so important?
Ooh, can I take this? You know what? I got to tell you though, I was so afraid of appearing to be too salesy. When you're sitting at the kitchen table with someone, I did not want to be that salesy person. And so I had an actual experience. It was really what shifted for me. I had a woman that I sat with that I presented both a Medicare Advantage and a supplement. And she was so pained by the hospital copays and the fact that cancer had run in her family. She did not have cancer. She was visibly emotional, like sitting in front of me. She
Yeah.
really, really wanted the extra benefits and the simplicity of a Medicare Advantage. One card, she wanted that so badly. She also wanted to feel secure. And so this was my first introduction, even though Demetri and I have talked at so many different events and we've had dinner and we, texted each other and we're friendly. This was my first real life example of somebody who cried in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Like literally this woman was so pained. And so it actually, I go, I may have something for you. And I believe I called Demetri and my contract had been canceled because I hadn't written anything. And he immediately got me back up and running, showed me how to quote this very simply, very easily. And I pulled down the hospital copay and the cancer. And the other thing that was really bothersome for her was the skilled nursing. So it was just those 3 items. I didn't get in the weeds with all the other options. It was just the items that really made her feel out of control. It was the coolest thing. She hugged me. She sobbed. She told everyone about me. And so now I feel like offering this product is a necessity. It has to be offered. It's the only thing that stays consistent right now in this world, in this market. It's the only thing.
Yeah.
I mean, to your point though, Dawn, a lot of folks, you got to think about it. Cross-selling is not something that only happens in the insurance business. Let's think about it in our everyday lives. We all have our own examples of different things, but let's just say if I went to Joseph A. Banks to go get this jacket, what's the next thing they're going to ask me as I'm trying on jackets? They're going to say to me, well, Demetri, do you need a dress shirt to go with that jacket? Or Demetri, do you need a belt to go with the trousers that you're wearing and so forth? I said trousers.
You said trousers.
They're trousers. It's fine.
We're gonna
to go with the pants, to go with the jacket. Cross-selling happens in every industry. Think about the most famous cross-selling that happened that everybody can relate to. In the 70s, you went to McDonald's, you asked for a Big Mac. What do they say? Do you want fries and a Coke with that? And then an apple pie. When they made a value meal, do you want an apple pie? So cross-selling isn't something that's just unique to our industry. It's in everything that we touch and everything that we do on a daily basis. I think if we as an industry can just realize that this is just the way business is done generically, I think that's a positive.
Yeah.
I think it's a positive that that's the case because the benefits that derive from cross-selling in the insurance business are enormous for the clients. And the reason why I say that is because you got to know a couple statistics. Not that you want to say these statistics to people, but you need to understand them as an agent, what they are. The average senior at over 65, their average savings account is about $8,000 to $10,000. I think we can all agree there's not a lot of money to have in a savings account. Why do they have that savings account? A multitude of reasons for sure. Could be the emergency fund to fix the roof or get a hot water tank or whatever the case may be, right? It's not going to be for exposures, be it traditional Medicare or MA side, because there's exposures and they're not full complete programs. Individually, they're not complete programs either because there's limitations. But adding a hospital indemnity, adding a cancer plan, adding a short-term care program, which are pennies on the dollar for premium to access a significant amount of benefit, is gonna be so vital to folks to keep their self-worth, as seniors, so they feel like they're not going to be a drain on their kids, those type of things, because that's, you ask any senior, I'm sure they're all going to say, what is it that they're most concerned with? They don't want to be a hindrance or a bother to the kids.
Yeah.
That's by doing things like by just presenting ideas to the clients and just showing them what is available. Because think about what are you? You are a healthcare advisor. You can't use the word Medicare. You're a healthcare advisor.
Yeah.
And if you think of yourself as a healthcare advisor, you're gonna be very comfortable in having these conversations. And you don't have to have them all at once. I mean, think about us. I mean, if someone's throwing 5 different things at me, how fast do you think I'm tuning that out? I'm tuning that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But if you do a Medicare Advantage and a hospital indemnity presentation and you stop at that, Okay, I took care of one aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple months later, I might come down the road and talk about home health care or skilled nursing or life insurance or annuities, whatever the case may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're really doing some great work for your clients.
Yeah. And either one of you can answer this. I think we touched on a couple of different pain points there of why agents don't necessarily want to think about cross-selling, why maybe they don't want to bring it up. But what are some of the most common objections that you hear from agents about cross-selling, about why they don't want to?
Yeah. So, Sarah, I think that people are afraid to appear salesy. The value here is coming to the table from a place of service.
Mm-hmm.
We are service. We're offering peace of mind to folks. I think that there's also concern about, the extra work or the claims. And so I think that Ritter and Demetri do a really good job of offering training on that. They have a great portal, so everything is right at your fingertips. And when it's a claim that's questionable, Demetri has made outbound calls to me. I need to talk to this agent about this claim. We have some questions. So, I think that all of those things, concern agents, but the bottom line is, you're here coming from a place of service, and that's it, service. And if we keep that in mind and remember that we're here to support our clients and protect them, we have to show this product.
Dawn, here's to your point about service. The other part that I have heard is that, I don't have time. I've heard that one. I don't have time to do it. It only takes 15 minutes during the MA appointment to add a hospital indemnity product with the MA to cover the exposure that they have. 15 minutes is all it takes.
Yeah, super quick.
Okay.
And also it's a really great touch point after AEP to say, hey, January 15th, I'm having an online meeting. I'm going to go through the highlights. So if you were moving so quickly, and I know a lot of us were, this is a really good opportunity to invite 30 of your clients onto a call. Hey, did everybody get their ID card? Did everybody get their OTC card? Now we're going to go ahead and go through a mock quote just to show you exactly how easy it is and what we have to offer. And so there are some agents that are doing that as well. And it's a nice touch point. You're going to touch base with them anyway, because you want to make sure they got their ID card. You want to make sure that they understand their benefits. They have everything in place for the new year. Yeah. So you're sending a PIN for an application for a signature. When you do this application, it's so easy. The signature is, I'm going to text you. Please read me the number that GTL just texted you. And it's that simple and that easy, secured, done, issued. That's it.
And, the other thing about it, when you think about the things that I've heard, I don't have time. I don't see the importance of it. Think of it from a whole different perspective. How about a liability perspective? How about if you don't present the option that you can protect somebody? Because if you had a situation that somebody was on an MA plan, they got diagnosed with cancer, they had Part B drugs, radiation, chemotherapy, 20% applied to the MOOP, right? Let's say your MOOP is $8,000. As I mentioned earlier, the savings account somebody might have is about $8,000 to $10,000, right?
Yeah.
So now the question comes into play is that, what happens when they don't have protection now, and how do they take care of that $8,000? Going back to the other part I even mentioned earlier was, now do you have to depend on the kids to get $8,000? Or do you have to come up with some kind of payment plan that you might be able to make or not make? Just more from a liability, making sure that you at least presented an option about what this can take care of is super important in its own right, I think.
Yeah. So we have the idea of the educational event as a way to bring it up. And then, the idea of really coming in and saying, okay, this is another option that is available to you, that you want to make sure that you're serving your client properly, giving them the option to actually get this coverage should they need it. What are some other ways that we can bring this up without seeming salesy? Just to give a couple more ideas here.
I think when you're looking at hospital indemnity, you can inject it as part of the actual presentation of the MA. Because we all know that if you're talking about Medicare, you have to have a scope of appointment completed. And so you have everything initialed on the scope appropriately. So this way you can have other conversations that are health products. And so as you're going through the MA presentation, you're going to talk about the zero premiums, zero copays for doctors, all the zeros, right? But then eventually you're going to hit the hospitalization part of it. Instead of running through it and saying, okay, it's $300 a day for 6 days, and then ambulance is this. If you take your time and you explain to the client, hospitalization exposure with the MA at $300 a day for 6 days means that if you're hospitalized for 6 days, you're responsible for $1,800. How do you feel about that? A lot of people are going to give you the not very good feeling, right? And then let them know that it could be possible you might get hospitalized twice in a given year for 6 days. It could be another $1,800. So now you may be up to $3,600. So there's some variability there, right? That's when you stop and say, okay, well, if you're worried about this exposure, I'll show you for $1 or $2 a day how I can cover this for you. How does that sound with the hospital indemnity plan?
Okay. So giving them option A is this, option B is this, and taking the time to educate them about how the actual product, in this case, the hospital indemnity, works. Dawn, do you have any other ideas? Because I think a lot of times when it comes to any kind of presentation, we get into our own heads about how things are going to be perceived by the person that we're talking to. So any other tips that you could speak to?
I think when you're talking to a client, all you have to do is refer back to their current plan and what their plan looked like the previous year and the year before that. And we're seeing the benefits decrease, the hospital copays increase, and the max out of pocket increase. We don't have any control over that. The only control that we have is the ability to put something else in there to fill that space. So I think that just having the same client base year over year and having to have that conversation, and the one thing that constantly pops up is the copays for hospital are increasing. And the max out of pocket is increasing. And how do we get to the max out of pocket? Typically, that's with a Part B drug, a chemo. That's what drives that. So, I mean, the plan will kind of do the work for you. You don't even have to sell this. This is not a salesy thing, and it hasn't been for me at all. This is just not. It's like, let's look at the last 5 years. Let's see where the increases are. And let's carry on. Let's fill it.
Okay.
Which brings me to a question that I wanted to ask Demetri. So let me ask you. So the average hospital stay for a senior is how long?
It's 5.5 days according to the CDC.
Okay. So we may, when we're doing this quote, we may want to pull this out to 7 days. Okay. So if we have a hospital copay of, this is kind of how I worded it this year. Your hospital copay went from $250 to $325. Next year, it's probably going to be $350. So let's put you at $350.
I'm a big believer that everybody should be presenting a package, the same package to all their clients, because you know what your MAs are in a particular county or whatever it is. So every client should get the same package. So it could be hospitalization, ambulance, skilled nursing, cancer, outpatient therapy, whatever it is you choose to have as your package. Don't be afraid of what the number is going to be associated with that package. Because again, I want to make sure I'm telling you all the pitfalls that potentially that could be financially. I'm going to show you I can protect that for a set amount. Because you got to remember too, GTL's been doing this product now since 2005, and we've never had a rate increase or a benefit decrease during that time frame. So I know that if I'm giving somebody a $60 a month product, that price is going to stay the same for many, many, many years to come. Okay, so to kind of go back to what Dawn is asking here, hospitalization, I'm a big fan of saying part of my package is $100 more per day than what I need today. So if your copay is $300, I would present $400. If I have a 6-day copay, I'd probably go 7, just have an extra day just in case something changes there. But the cost difference is so small, it's really not even noticeable. It's not even noticeable. Yeah. But the benefit to the client, though, for having a 7-day at $400 instead of $300 and 6-day type of copay is that for 6 days, they're getting an additional $100 each day. So that's $600 that they can utilize for whatever other extra purposes they're going to need. Is it going to be maybe they board a pet? All right, you got $600 to take care of boarding. If they don't have pets, maybe they got the $600 then they can use for going for follow-up visits to a specialist that there may be copays for, or maybe they have to buy something to have at their house to help them recover from whatever situation they're dealing with. So there's different things they can do, at least from that amount. And then that 7th day, even though there was no copay on their MA, they're still going to get the $400 from GTL. So when you add it all up together, you're talking about $1,000 now that somebody can actually use dollars however they need to do, not just for the copay, but for other things too. So from that perspective, that's kind of the way I look at it from the hospitalization part of it. And then I'm always looking to try to do 2 times max out of pocket for cancer benefits, because
With the reoccurrence?
with recurrence,
Yeah.
for sure, that's what you want to present. Now, do I understand and do I think you're going to sell 2 times max out of pocket every time? No. A budget that comes into play is going to probably bring it down to 1 times max out of pocket at least, which is something is going to be better than nothing at all.
You're giving them a starting point, essentially, is what you're saying with that.
Absolutely. And, at the end of the day, my package may look a certain way. It has certain benefits in it. If they don't want any of the riders and all they want is the hospitalization benefit along with the ambulance and that's it, that's okay too.
Right.
That'd still be very beneficial for the client.
I think what I'm hearing from the both of you is really the main thing that we need to be thinking about is, rather than thinking about how we feel about it, how awkward or weird we feel about mentioning it or doing it, instead think about it from the client's point of view. And is it going to be beneficial for them? What is this going to do for them? Why is this important for them to have it? Present it that way, rather than getting so much in our own head about how we might not do such a great job at presenting it or anything. And honestly, both of you have given really good examples of how you can talk through some of these products with your clients. Dawn, you had mentioned in particular this year that you had had a lot of success with cross-selling. Which one of these methods did you find was working the best for you, or was it kind of a combination of them?
This was so easy this year because the market almost mandated it. It was just an easy thing to present. Like I just said, I see these copays increasing. And I see these max out of pockets getting really uncomfortable. And I cannot predict where they're going. I can't. I've never felt so out of control with plans. And so it was important to just present it every time. And every single person that I presented it to took it.
Wow.
Every single person, because they saw the value and they also saw the history with what's happening in the market. And so, hey, the pendulum swings. And if, copays go to $50 at the hospital in 10 years and you feel good about dropping it, it's not one of those contracts where you have to keep it forever. I try to build it so that it's affordable for you in 10 years. So I'm not looking at doing this as like just for now. I'm looking at the long-term benefit of this. But, at this point, you have to. You're doing a disservice to your member, your client, if you're not presenting it.
Okay. So it's one of those things that when you're looking at the cost structure of it, you are looking at it as this is going to be able to stay the same theoretically, as long as, everything else is good for multiple years, where you're not really going to have to come back every year and reevaluate the math on everything. Gotcha.
I promise you too, Sarah, I can just imagine this in my head right now as I'm thinking about it. The first time that Dawn presented this, she probably, like all of us, we probably stumbled a little bit here or there. But by the time she did it after the 5th, 10th, 15th, 20th time, it was coming off like no problem at all. I mean, that's like, to Dawn's point, she presented it to every single person. We can't just pick and choose who to present to. It's got to be part of your DNA of, this is what I'm offering to my clients.
Right. Covering all the benefits. I know the difference between $7,500 for a cancer and $10,000. It's like $7 difference. So like I have it now.
So as far as knowing, because sometimes I think we can get a little uncomfortable maybe from just not having that knowledge level, what are the resources like on both sides, either from the Ritter side of things or from the GTL side of things, that agents can learn about these products?
I'll go with the carrier side first. With GTL, we've actually created videos that can be used from a marketing perspective to let clients know you're going to reach out to them and talk to them about this. You can also do it as a point of sale perspective, in that when you're transitioning from the MA conversation to your hospital indemnity conversation. It's a video. It's about 2 minutes and 25 seconds long that kind of really says it in plain English, how the plan works, what to expect and so forth. So that this way, when you're done with the video, then you can kind of go right to your package of what you're offering, explain, and then finish off the process from there. We also have some infographics. So if you're not technologically savvy, you can order some infographics. You can slide it across the table and a person can read that. There's the brochures, of course. If you're face-to-face, you definitely want to make sure you have the brochures. And right on the cover of the brochures is a QR code, which the client can take their own smartphone, put it on there, read the QR code, and watch the video right on their own device if they like, while you're finishing up on your MA application. So that's a couple things there from that perspective.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways there. Dawn, what do you have on the Ritter side of things?
We have hospital indemnity built into our platform. We have some AI components in the Integrity platform. Demetri's platform is easy to use. One of the things that I do like is that they can sign your phone. You can do all this on your smartphone, and they sign your phone and boom, you're done. It's interesting that Medicare Advantage folks, when they come to see you, oftentimes they forget their checkbook. So now I tell them hey, in case I have to put you with a product that has any type of premium, don't forget your checkbook, but they always do because they're so used to zero premium.
Yeah.
But it's so easy because I can just go right into their platform, put everything in, and then send them a code to their smartphone. They read me the code, boom, we seal the deal and we're done. So that, although I may be presenting it at that point, if they forgot their checkbook, then, we're doing it as soon as they get home.
One of the things that I wanted to ask, just as I'm hearing how simple it sounds for all of these, if you could rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, the complexity of Medicare and pitching that in an appointment versus the complexity of, say, a hospital indemnity or a cancer product, on top of the knowledge that you already have, how would you rate those two things?
There's so much more involved in going through a Medicare Advantage. You're there with a summary of benefits. There's so much more involved. The hospital indemnity is, I'm sharing my screen and we're building the plan together. We have some options here to play with the monthly premium. And so there's an understanding that we're going to build this around, your needs and what concerns you. Some people are super concerned with skilled nursing, those days 21 through 100. It's a deal breaker. They got to have that in. And some people are like, I'll never go do that. My husband's going to take care of me. And so that's not a big important thing. So I think it's a lot harder to offer a Medicare Advantage because you have to go through line by line by line. I'm constantly circling and writing and showing people in a summary of benefits your exposure. Here, we're figuring that out together. It's just a different feel.
Okay. Yeah. So interesting that if you're hearing this and thinking that it still sounds a little bit scary, this is from someone who's been in the industry 20 some years, saying that there's a lot more that you're already doing if you are selling Medicare, or even if you're selling under 65, because there's considerations to go through there as well.
I just wrote one of these day before yesterday, and it was somebody who was 64. And she picked a high deductible, and I completely switched how I did it. I threw accident in this time because, it was just a different feel completely to the plan that she had and trying to fill those gaps. So it was completely different, but it worked, and chances are she'll keep that and maybe make a few changes once we move over to Medicare.
The way I kind of look at this too, though, Sarah, is that I know we're focusing a lot on MA, but let's face it, the Medicare supplement sales went through the roof, this past year. Really busy, right? For whatever reasons that is. But the cross-selling opportunities are there too. A standalone cancer plan is a great cross-selling opportunity in the Medicare supplement world. Doesn't matter if you're talking ACA or if you're talking MedSup or MA either, right? The cost of cancer, that benefits of cancer plans are going to be something that allows folks to give them options. That's really, to me, what the cancer plans are about. It's about options. So it's not about just the dollar amounts. It's about, well, what happens if you want to do an experimental treatment or alternative treatment, or maybe you have to travel somewhere whatever the case may be, there's other things that insurance doesn't cover. And so I think, not to give cancer its own due, cancer, I think in the ACA market is a great place to talk about cancer plans. Same concepts that we've been talking about from MA all this time, about why to sell it and so forth, all works in the ACA market too. You want to make sure that a cancer plan is going to set up for that client. Think about it too. When you're 65, the cost of cancer insurance is going to be higher than when you're 35, 40 years old getting a cancer plan. So you get more benefits for less dollars the younger you are. So, it's definitely a good fit for clients. I mean, like at GTL, we have a couple different cancer plans. We have one that's a traditional cancer, heart attack, stroke, standalone cancer, standalone heart attack, stroke, or you can do all three under one and add a recurrence option with that. Or we have another product called Precision Care, which is a lump sum cancer plan that also has a genomic sequencing test built into it. So that means that if someone gets diagnosed with cancer, then they'll be eligible to utilize our partner TGen, which they're a not-for-profit genomic sequencing lab in Arizona. Super smart people. They'll reach out to the oncologist, they'll get a sample of the biopsy and be able to sequence the tissue and come up with the exact fingerprint for that particular cancer, and then be able to say, okay, we've seen this type of fingerprint before, and this type of treatment is what worked best with that fingerprint. Because not all cancers are the same. They may call them the same thing, but they might have a little different tweak to them that a different treatment may be better for that version of that. Or even from a MA perspective, don't get hung up on hospital indemnity 100%. If your client doesn't want hospital indemnity, then just talk to them about a standalone cancer plan at the very least.
Is there anything else that either of you have found to be helpful as far as getting agents to break out of their comfort zone?
That's a constant battle, I think. We're constantly doing that. We get little wins along the way. I think it's education, is making sure you're comfortable with that. I'm a little analytical at times. I like to break down pieces of an insurance program. Generically speaking, when you're looking at a cancer plan, if you took the annual premium and divided into the benefit it provides to the client, it'll give you a number. That number is usually somewhere around 23 to 27. And what does that number mean? It means a number of years that you'd have to save that annual premium to be able to equal the same amount that benefit is. So it demonstrates the power of insurance that if you pay $300, let's say today, 6 months from now, you get diagnosed with cancer, you can get $10,000, for example.
My thing is just keep this super simple. Start off with like 2 or 3 of your favorite things out of their Advantage Plus: hospital, skilled nursing, and cancer. Just keep it super simple until you get comfortable with the product. Like Demetri was just going into their precision cancer, and I'm like, okay, maybe by July I'll be ready for a training. And that's a lot of information. I'm also holding information on all the Advantage plans in multiple states. And so keep it super simple until you have that locked in, and then slowly start to expand out. That's what I would say to anyone that's considering. Grab me, we'll do a walkthrough, we'll do a mock sale. I'm here for you people. All of you agents, I'm here for you. I want you to be successful, and I want you to make sure that your clients are secure.
The other thing that we want to make sure that people understand about ancillary cross-selling, you get paid all year long on this.
That's always good.
So it's something from an income stream perspective. It's a positive to your bottom line at the end of the day, but you don't have to wait till AEP to offer these. You can offer these in OEP. You can offer them in the middle of summer, whenever you want, and you get full year commissions on them. So
it is another 1099, Demetri. It is another 1099.
I would believe that any agent that's getting 1099 is a happy agent, because that means their income is doing well.
What's another 1099 when you already have one?
Exactly. That's another 1099 amongst friends. It's all good.
All righty. Anything else that either of you would like to add as final takeaways or thoughts here?
Next time we should have Cal on.
He is fantastic to talk to. The reasoning why his story is very powerful.
Yeah.
And Cal was one of the guys in the original days of doing Medicare, where he was doing hospital indemnity, cancer, creating a med sup before it got standardized. Granted, he's had a number of years of doing the cross-selling and talking about it. But to Don's point, there's so many options out there. To start with 1 or 2 and build your overall portfolio as you go along. You don't have to present everything all at once. If you do this in a methodical way, let's say, if I were to tell you at the very beginning of our appointment, Sarah, when I meet you, I'd say, hey, Sarah, looking forward to talking to you today, but let me tell you about what I can do in general to help you overall with your insurance needs. We'll talk about Medicare today, as we know, but I also work with cancer, critical illness. I work with life insurance, hospital indemnity. I work with long-term care, short-term care, annuities, whatever it is that you do. Because now, by putting it out there that you're just not the Medicare person, it changes the mindset of that person, too, of what they think of you as. So then down the road, the questions come up from insureds all the time. There's always questions, which is great. But if they know they can reach out to you now because you've laid out that you do more than just Medicare, now you're building a block of business that people aren't going to go to every single direct mail piece that comes in and call that person. They're going to get a direct mail piece and say, oh, look, I'm going to call Dawn because Dawn told me she does all this. Now Dawn's going to have more opportunities with that particular client to kind of expand that relationship with them, because you really, from a goal perspective, to get a client truly takes about 3 policies to have with you for them to be a client. You know, one policy, it's just the customer. That's where they look at it. Let's go back to the property and casualty example. Think about all those things you have under that agent that does your property and casualty. When was the last time you go, oh, I'm going to go move all that because it went up $15? No, it's a hassle.
Yeah.
So they got it. That's part of their rationale, right? So that really works in our world too, the same way.
For sure. My final thoughts, look for us. We're going to be doing some road shows, trainings. Demetri's always a staple at our summits. If you need more training, maybe we can get him out here and do a lunch and learn, get him into your agency. He loves traveling.
I got wings on my arms from flying too much.
All righty. Well, Dawn, Demetri, thank you both so much for being here, and look forward to being able to talk with you again and hopefully have you answer some more of our questions. But thank you both for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thanks again to Demetri Simos and Dawn Myers for sharing their knowledge with us today. If you'd like to connect with them, we will have the links to reach out in our episode notes. Also there, the link to our events and webinars, both here at Ritter Insurance Marketing and through our partner, Integrity. While you're there, if you're not already, please take a moment and follow along with our show. Thanks for listening. See you next episode. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an Integrity company. Special thanks to our guests, Demetri Simos and Dawn Myers. Recording and production by me, Sarah Ruppel. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Like what you hear? Follow along with our show wherever you get your podcasts.